What's up, guys? As always, this is People Are Terrible. I'm Jeremy. I'm joined with Caleb. We got some weird news. We got some Florida Man headlines, and we've each brought topics. And I'm actually really excited to talk about yours, Caleb. I don't know how much prep time you put into this, but
probably close between 0 and 1.
Oh, good.
Minute.
So, what is your topic?
My topic is your zombie survival plan.
I love it. I've come up with a strategy, and not just a general strategy, but my actual zombie survival plan, just from right now. I love that
you went in on my topic more than I did, because literally you saw it come up to me. You were texting me, and I was like, no, this will work, because I was watching a horror film.
Yeah. What'd you watch?
I was watching Ma.
Okay. Had you seen it before?
No. Have you?
No.
Seen it? So it's not a good movie, but I loved it, if that makes sense. Like, it knows what it is, where it's a bad B-movie horror film.
Yeah, I'm very curious to watch it. I've always wanted to, because it had that vibe to me, almost like, I don't know if Misery tonally is the right word.
It's campier than Misery.
Okay. Oh, fun.
But I thought it was good. Like, it's not a good movie. Like, all the reviews are like 50%. I'm like, yeah, it's a dumb horror film. Like, my standards get real low for horror, especially when it's not trying to be like an art house horror film.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into horror, you kind of just settle in and you accept that not every movie's not supposed to be a masterpiece. Most movies are just supposed to be movies.
All the classics of the genre are garbage. 90% of them.
Gotta disagree. Well, the
whole slasher genre.
Correct.
Can we at least agree there?
Yes, okay. I will give you that. But when we're talking about like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist, I'm not budging on those. Are masterpieces.
Rosemary's Baby is not even just one of my favorite horror films. It's one of my favorite films.
Great movie. Yeah. I'm actually really excited to see Dr. Sleep. What do you think about that one?
Dr. Sleep. I don't even know if I've seen the trailer. I'm literally cut off from everything right now.
I am not surprised. You got a lot of other shit going on, but Dr. Sleep is the Stephen King follow-up to The Shining. Danny Torrance has grown up, and he's kind of learned how to use his abilities in a way that's like, without getting too into spoilers, he uses his ability to shine to help people transition from life to death, like people who are terminal. He uses a shining ability for positive shit. And there's this group, like a gang of psychic vampires that go and seek out people who shine and feed off their life force as they die. It like somehow increases their power or their aura or some shit. So it's a
Stephen
sequel.
King, you said?
So
sounds interesting. I mean, so it's going to be really good, and then it's going to have a horrible ending. Is that kind of where we're leading?
Chances are actually pretty good. Ewan McGregor plays Danny Torrance.
Oh, hey, I love Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with him. He's good actor.
Even in bad movies, he's good in them.
He seems cool, man. He seems cool.
I don't know. I've never seen an interview with him, but I like him as an actor.
I want to hang out with him.
I want to hang out with any actor.
Ewan McGregor, I want to be your friend. All right, that's just stupid. And then my topic is going to be the Mark Zuckerberg versus Jack Dorsey most interesting battle in Silicon Valley. One of the most interesting things I've heard going on in the news lately, because it really is two Silicon Valley kind of moguls battling it out in the field of ideology. And it's just interesting that, how their stances are both completely opposite, but we'll talk a little bit about it later as far as who's right, who's wrong, and what that means to the future of social media as a platform, as well as the world of politics, because right now I think there is a potential for things to go a couple different interesting directions. But anyways, we'll circle back around to that. For the worldwide weird, I got a couple of Halloween stories that are kind of lingering after the holiday season was over. And this first one is Halloween candy tampering is no longer an urban legend. Did you happen to see any of the headlines about this?
Was that ever an urban legend? I've known that that's happened to people.
So we talked about urban legends last week on the show. You guys can go back and check out that episode. And I didn't even think to bring up the tainted candy thing. for decades, boomers in particular started kind of telling kids to check their Halloween candy for razor blades, for needles, for drugs that have been injected into them. And it was always a thing. However, if you go and you look at the actual evidence prior to this year, there were very few cases. There was a child who was poisoned with strychnine or arsenic in Texas back in the 90s, maybe the 80s. And he was a child who had actually gotten the candy from his father. His father used Halloween as an opportunity to poison and kill his kid to collect fucking insurance for it. But other than that, not a whole lot of cases of it actually happening.
Really? I thought it was like one of those things that like I mean, not a ton, but you know, a couple of them.
Let's see. I think there are. I think you could probably point that one example that I came up with. I think you could probably point to 10 examples nationally. You know what I mean? Like such a crazy small number. Okay, police have documented cases of people randomly distributing poison goodies to children on Halloween. False, according to Snopes. I don't know how reliable you guys believe Snopes are, but so in the origin here, it says tales of black-hearted madmen doling out poison Halloween candy to unsuspecting little tykes have been around for decades. They were part of my Halloween experience more than 40 years ago, and every year seems to have the same flurry of activity in response to such rumors. Radio, TV, newspapers all issue dark, ominous warnings about tampered candy and suggest taking the little ones to parties instead of collecting goodies door to door. Even Am Landers published a column in 95 warning against mad poisoners, saying, in recent years there have been reports of people with twisted minds putting razor blades and poison in taffy and Halloween candy. It's a sadness that a holiday so thoroughly and greedily enjoyed by kids is being sanitized out of existence in the name of safety. Sadder still is that there appears to be little reason for it. Though we've yet to find evidence of a true Halloween poisoning, we've uncovered a few isolated incidences initially reported as random poisonings that upon further investigation turned out to be something else. So it goes on, but that was kind of the general takeaway that I got from doing my own research.
A couple of years ago, and I just looked at it, there was someone who put meth in kids' candy back home.
In New Mexico?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because, which also, too, people don't know this, the meth that they use in Breaking Bad is from the Candy Lady store. It's just rock candy that she makes for the show.
Oh, so there's an actual candy maker in New Mexico.
Yeah, she makes like candy dicks and stuff. And,
nice.
Yeah. And so
lady.
She's the one who actually makes the meth for the show. That's
awesome little piece of trivia. I mean, it really does just look like rock candy. Yeah. Don't meth with Albuquerque's Breaking Bad Candy Lady. Oh, dude, she's the best. Lady. What a great name, the Candy Lady.
Yeah. I remember, I think her store closed a while back, and then it was like a big old deal because they had moved it or something, like the city did.
Dude, I'm looking at a couple of her like penis chocolates with the fucking white icing coming out the top.
Yeah, no. Candy Lady is some serious shit.
She's a fucking G, dude. All right. So anyways, back to this candy thing. I guess we never got off the topic of candy, but this year there have been multiple reports. So I guess in the dawn of the internet, people they got to do it. You know, people have been talking about it for so long, and there was a couple of crazy headlines that came out. So let's see. That's not a source. What did I do? Link it to nothing both times.
While you're pulling that up, do you remember a couple of years ago when they found the needles in strawberries?
Vaguely, man. What happened?
Yeah, there was like, it wasn't like, somehow they got tainted in like a factory or something. There were a bunch of strawberries that went out with like sewing needles in them.
Holy shit. Dude, you do not want to have a factory that is dealing with produce and sewing needles.
Yeah, I know. Seems like a weird crossover.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So Colorado police, 2 reports of objects like razor blades and Halloween candy. So Colorado is in, where is that at? Colorado Township. I don't fucking know where that is. Yeah, Colorado.
Sounds like a disease.
It does. So I don't know where that's at, but they found multiple. They say they looked like razor blades, and I'm looking at the picture here. It is clearly a razor blade out of like a box cutter. or out of,
Okay.
out of a box cutter. And so again, urging to check child's candy. We have received reports of objects being found in candy bars from last evening. As of now, the objects are reported to be metal and similar to razor blades. All right, so just at face value, is this actually that the candy is coming with these things in it, or are people putting things in it to upload them to social media?
I would probably bet on the latter, that they're putting it in it to upload to social media.
Isn't that the more likely scenario?
Yeah, because social media, the crazy shit. How often are we covering stuff that people do strictly for social media? It's the weirdest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a good way to get some attention because people have talked about it for decades. We've been obsessed with this idea. So, I heard a psychologist talking about a lot of times children would tamper with their own candy and come to their parents and be like, oh my goodness, and get the attention and the whatever that they were craving.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
And that would be a primary reason why this thing kept perpetuating itself. Again, who knows? You know what I mean? Like I could very well be victim shaming these kids. Cincinnati area neighborhood is another case where razor blades were found in Halloween candy. Let me make sure that's not Coleraine. Coleraine, Cincinnati. Yes. Okay. Same case there. 2 people in Ohio find razor blades in their Halloween candy.
Seems like it's an Ohio problem then.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Same story again.
Okay.
All right. Let me see if I can find something else, because I swore there were multiple. Greenwood police investigate soap tablets in Halloween candy, and then there was a kid who got gummies. THC gummies, but again, people are speculating that maybe they just used the Halloween candy as an excuse for why they had gummies in there.
Maybe it seems like, just from the little bit I researched, it's kind of like this. Like there is a couple, like a case or two every couple of years, like it's not an overwhelming problem, but it does seem like there's a case or two, but we don't know if they're verified or not.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to verify when the shit gets passed through so many hands. Who's to say it didn't happen in the manufacturing place, like you were saying about the strawberries? Or was it the person passing out the candy? Was it the person in the store before the candy was purchased? Was it the end user, the kid who gets the candy at the very end? Like, there's so many hands that it gets passed through that it almost seems like it would be very difficult to verify.
Yeah, I agree. It's really hard to see what it could be, because who knows? There's so many things. I'm looking at like real rankings, and even all these websites, they're not that reliable anyway. Like everything I'm finding to look at. So it's so hard to say. So, I mean, you're going to be a parent. Have you thought about, have you had a chance to think about Halloween yet? Yeah, actually, well, not like in this context, but I thought about one of the guys at work was like, hey, man, make sure you're comfy and warm tonight. I was like, why? And he goes, because this is going to be one of your last days where you get to go home and just be comfy in your house on Halloween. I was like, okay, very good point. But I thought about like that, and but the more fun aspects of it. And I don't know. It's one of those things. Are the odds extremely, extremely low for this happening? Yes. Of course, if it does happen, that's devastating. And I think just in general parenting style, and this is easy for me to say before she's actually here, is not going to be the paranoia style. I feel like a lot of people are always talking about how bad it is for kids now. I'm like, you mean they're safer than they've ever been in the entire existence of time? Absolutely. I hate when parents say, you just don't know what it's like out there. People are crazy these days. And it's like, people have always been crazy for one thing. And I would imagine cell phones changed the game so much, from like not being able to know where your kids are to now being able to track them at any given time. And if stranger danger occurs, they can use their phone and fucking notify somebody. It was way worse when we were kids and just run around. Way worse before that. And I mean, just you look at it, violence and crime and everything across the board has fallen dramatically. But we as a culture keep talking about how it's getting worse, even though zero of the data supports that. You're not necessarily a big Halloween person yourself. I know this about you. No, I'm not. So I will be, because I think Halloween's awesome for kids.
I was gonna ask about the idea. Like, you're not gonna discourage it because you're not into it. If the kid likes it, you're gonna go out and do the thing.
Even if they don't, I'm gonna start them on it, because I know I loved it as a kid. I used to love Halloween, but as I got older, I'm like, it's Halloween.
It's just getting crazy out there these days.
Now I'm gonna force Christmas down their throats.
Yeah, you're a Christmas and fucking October person.
Yeah, I'm a Christmas. Actually, I wait till after Thanksgiving. I'm still a normal person, but then the tree goes up.
Yeah, I went into a Subway yesterday and they were listening to Christmas music already, and I was just like, man, I'm sorry.
It's too much. Like, Thanksgiving just gets blown past now. And Thanksgiving's a great holiday.
It is. Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the better ones. So this is a kind of fascinating story, and it happened in New Hampshire. Parents decorate son's grave with skeleton rising from the ground. Cemetery takes it down. They put it back up, and I believe the cemetery took it back down again. So in front of their son's tombstone, which he lived from 98 to 2016, which made him 18 years old. Okay, it's tragic. Supposedly he had a really great sense of humor, and they took a skeleton with a cowboy hat, like a plastic skeleton, and they made it look like the skeleton was rising up out of the grave. But apparently the cemetery and other people whose families were buried in the plot had a problem with it, thought it was distasteful, and so the cemetery removed it. What do you think, man?
Fuck all those people who had a problem with it. You didn't know their son. You don't know his sense of humor. If someone did that to me after I died, that's just funny. I think it's awesome. That's a way to celebrate me. You mourn the way you want to mourn. I'll mourn the way I want to mourn.
And it's their plot. I 100% am on the same page with you, man.
Like, fuck off. I hate this whole notion that people have of, oh, I saw something that bothered me. You're a grown-ass adult. Grab your nuts, tug on them, and man the fuck up. You're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, it annoys me. It's one of my weird pet peeves. It sets me off.
Well, and in like New Orleans and LA, they like have movie screenings in cemeteries. I think this idea that cemeteries have to be this sad, depressing, miserable place is like, I hate that about Western culture. Like, you go to funerals and they're fucking miserable. I love an Irish wake, man. When I fucking die, like, I want it to be a celebration. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but if this is how these parents mourn, and they paid for that plot like everybody else does, and that skeleton is not touching anybody else's area, they should have the right to do whatever they want. I mean, within reason.
They know their son. They knew who he was. These strangers did it. If he thought it was fun, he would have sounds like the person who would think that was funny. Then that's a great way to honor him. Like, my grandma passed last year, and I was extremely close to my grandma. And we cried the day of course, and everything. But I told myself, I'm not going to allow myself to do that, because I know who my grandma was. My grandma wouldn't have wanted everyone crying about her. That's just not who she was as a person. So, not saying I wasn't upset and all that, but like, I walked in and helped, make sure they verified that she had passed, and looked at the body with my mom, because my mom was a wreck, obviously. And it was hard, absolutely. But I told myself, I'm not going to allow this to like destroy all the funny times and the crazy crap my grandma has said. And you know what I mean? Like, that's, and I feel like people, they do this with life in general, but they might mourn a certain way. So they want you to mourn that way because it makes sense to them, because heaven forbid you have a different thought process than they do.
Yeah. Basically the idea is like, if it makes us uncomfortable, then you shouldn't be all right to do it, or you shouldn't be allowed to do it. I guess I wanted to give a shout out to my uncle. He passed away the day before yesterday, and I just wanted like an opportunity to be able to do that. It's all right. I hadn't seen him all that much lately, but he was the last branch male, which is kind of crazy, man. I mean, I've got two siblings, and they're both branches, but yeah, it's just kind of crazy, man. It's got me kind of thinking about like legacy and all of that kind of stuff, but he was super cool. Just a super, super nice guy. He was my father's brother. My father passed away like 8 years ago. And so they are survived by a sister, my Aunt Blythe. And but yeah, I just wanted to kind of acknowledge it, because he's not doing a big thing about it. He kind of just said he didn't want to get a burial plot or any of that kind of stuff. So it's just like, I didn't want it to go like unacknowledged. At least on this podcast, it'll freaking live on, you know?
Absolutely, man.
So anyways, yeah, we miss you, Chuck. And on that note, we'll go ahead and move along to woman sells medical excuse notes for $20 a pop and gets busted for it. This lady...
That's the worst crime to go to jail for.
What a racket. Evans, Louisiana. Authorities in Louisiana say a woman who worked at a medical clinic has been arrested for selling fake doctor's notes to high school students so they can get out of class. 52-year-old woman charged with filing or maintaining false public records. The sheriff's department said she was selling them for $20 a pop and that 2 students at Evans High School in Evans, Louisiana received excuses on 14 occasions. So eventually they're just like, where the fuck are these coming from?
That's so funny. Like, that's the funniest racket. I wonder how much she made, like, overall of this.
I mean, if we just look at the 14 excuses for 2 different people, 28 times 20, we're looking at $5,600. No,
it's not a little bad little bump.
Is that $560?
Huh?
Yeah, it's $560.
Oh, then that's fucking not worth it.
No.
That is not worth it at all.
$20, that is cheap.
Man, times must be rough.
Man, yeah.
You can go to the doctor and do your copay for that much, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't understand why she thought she would get away with giving him to the same. Like, on top of the $20 a pop, it needs to be like, and you get X amount of semester. That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
Like
you need to, like, I'll predate them. You can even have them. Hold on to these motherfuckers. Pay me $200.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I respect anybody's ingenuity when it comes to coming up with a good way to make extra money. But yeah, like, this isn't enough.
No, that's the thing that I always has cracked me up. But sometimes some of the hustles people had, I'm like, literally get a job and work one day and you would make more.
Yeah, and not go to jail for it.
Yeah, like, I used to know so many people back in the hood who were always had this scheme and this. Spoiler, none of them are rich now. You know?
Yeah, it's like people who want to get something from nothing. Typically, that doesn't speak highly of their character.
It doesn't usually pan out well for them. And they're like, whoa, why are you working a job? And you're like, dude, because I make 5 times more than you do. You are always begging for money to put in your tank. That's why I work a job. And
they're also, like, in my experience, the same person to be like, yeah, man, that's why I don't work. That's why I hustle. I don't have to live that grind. And then you're like, but, like, you don't have shit. Like, you don't. You're like, your life looks miserable. Yeah. But thank you for the life advice. I mean, I'm sure it is nice to not have to work and stuff, but fuck that. But you're like, I don't know. I would like a TV and couches that aren't falling apart. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, all it took is, the headline, suspect surrenders only after police photoshopped sailor suit to his mugshot. This is fun. Kanaki, Illinois. All it took for one fugitive in Illinois to turn himself in was a little photo manipulation. Chicago News reports that the sheriff's department posts notices about fugitives on their Facebook page each Wednesday. This week, the department posted a picture of Brandon Conti. The 25-year-old was wanted for failure to appear on a drunk driving charge. Conti commented on his post and asked, "Where's my costume?" Sheriff's office staff then went on to Photoshop and edited the photo to add the sailor suit and the hat that read "Ahoy." For those of you guys that aren't Stranger Things fans, that is a reference to season 3 of Stranger Things. They dressed him in Steve Harrington's costume from season 3 of Stranger Things. And an officer wrote in the comment section, "We held up our end of the bargain." So Conti replies with laughing emojis, noting that he would turn himself in before noon and ask the police, have the paperwork done and ready, and then he went and turned himself in. So he asked to be wanted his suit. He wanted a costume. Yeah, They said, looking at it, man. I guess he thought that was funny. That haircut that every white trash kid who drops the N-bomb has. Yeah, it's a little extra length in the front and then just straight across. I'm sorry, mini bangs, not tough. Mini bangs, yeah. That is what it is. They did a decent job on the Photoshop, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it's not too bad. Better than I can do. Yeah, they've got somebody, I guess. But then you look at the rest of the flyer and you're like, yeah, I don't know about your design skills. That's an ugly ass, just everything about it. That texture, that speaker texture, that feels like just amateur graphic design 101.
That feels like every 1990s like cop fugitive show.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, this guy's wanted for this.
And I think it's kind of a stretch to call him captured.
Yeah, I don't know. Captured. Surrendered?
Yeah, surrendered. Hashtag happy Halloween down at the bottom there. I love it. I guess that's why he said, where's my costume?
Oh, okay.
You lighten the sentence for him just being a stand-up guy and commenting on his Facebook post, turning himself in?
Yes, but then you extend it for that haircut.
Correct. So basically it's a wash. He's just back
just a wash.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Dog hitches a 45-minute ride in a bumper. Dude, this is the craziest fucking story.
In a bumper?
Dude, Coco the Shiba Inu was treated for a fractured elbow after being struck Monday morning. Okay, I don't know what the car was. I think I probably can find out. It's not a big deal. Whatever the car was, it has like kind of those low, it's not ground effects. It's not a kit because it's stock, but it's got the low plastic in the front of it.
Ground effects, man. I forgot about those.
You remember that was a thing?
Yeah.
So the person hit this dog and supposedly didn't realize it was a woman. The dog gets crammed up into the bumper and takes a 45-minute car ride. And the lady ends up finding this alive dog almost completely unscathed. Apparently it broke a freaking elbow, but it's just like chilling up in there. Do you see the picture of it?
No, I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to Google it.
It is the prettiest fucking dog for one thing. And like what? Okay, so it was a bumper of a car. Doesn't say what kind of car it was. 16-pound dog fit perfectly into the space behind the bumper. Isn't that crazy?
Like it's right in like the bottom grill part.
Yes, grill. That's the word I was looking for. Not fucking ground effects. Yes. But underneath where the actual, I don't know what kind of car it is. But dude, it's like you can see it damaged the vehicle enough to get up in there, and then it just kind of got nestled in there.
How bad is she at driving that she didn't even feel this shit?
Or old, you know what I mean? 100%. Like, how do you not notice that you hit a 16-pound dog that just smashes your car? I would almost assume that she fucking knew she hit it and just didn't want to look back, just kept going like on Hereditary. Like, she knew that the dog was dead and just went home, went upstairs, didn't sleep all night, came back out in the morning, and there's a dog chilling in her grill. 45-minute ride is a long ways too.
Yeah, where was she going?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just surprised that what a happy ending to a story that, you know, dogs get hit all the time, but this is definitely something I've never seen before.
I've never seen that. And I would love to see like footage of how this went down because it just boggles my mind.
Yeah, like what does that even look like? How fast was she going? A lot of questions.
I mean, she must have been going fast enough the way that bumper's ripped apart.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, it's like a cheap fiberglass one, but still.
It's like a new car. Everything's made out of that. It's just meant to crush like a tin can. I mean, crush when it gets hit by a 16-pound dog. That's wild.
Crazy.
All right. One last one in our Worldwide Weird segment before we switch gears and head on over to Florida man stuff. Man discovers 18-year-old weed smuggled into the jail from up his nose. I messed that headline up, but there's a man in prison. He'd been in jail for 18 years. Before he went, he decided he was going to stuff some weed up his nose to smuggle it into the jail. And then supposedly he forgot about it. He stuck a packet of pot up his nose just before going to prison, then forgot about it. For 18 years, the 48-year-old patient finally realized his breathtaking situation thanks to doctors at Sydney's West Med Hospital, where he was referred after complaining of headaches. After 18 years, you're complaining of headaches. Appropriately titled Nose Out of a Joint, CT scan showed what looked like a calcified lesion in the nasal passages. So calcium had built up around it and just turned it into a complete blockage of a rubber capsule containing degenerated vegetable plant matter. Fuck.
First of all, how much weed is he? Can't be that much weed he's smuggling in, first of all.
Yeah, like a couple of tokes.
Yeah. Like, and then second of all, how do you forget about it? I mean, how fucking high was this guy to her?
And like, how do you not feel it, dude? It was a rubber balloon stuffed with pot up your fucking nose.
You feel like it would hurt like the back of your eye, like all the way up in the sinuses.
Just constantly. Or like, I mean, you sneeze, you blow your nose, and like nothing happens out the one half of it. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't get this guy at all. How this is. It sounds like it makes my face hurt just thinking about that feeling. Like, because I mean, I'm sure you have, when you get like blockage from a sinus infection.
Oh, it's the worst. Sucks. Yes, it's the worst. Like, I would imagine way up though, the best thing about this whole situation is once you pull that calcified balloon of weed out of your nose, just how great your head must feel.
Oh, I'm sure.
That would be the best part about it. Just like, I wonder if he got in trouble for possessing a contraband.
I wonder. I think he should have, just because he's so stupid. We need to keep this guy locked up.
He certainly learned the hard way. Why not? That's just a weird situation.
Makes my sinuses hurt.
Yeah, man. All right. So let's head on down Interstate 10 to our Welcome to Florida segment, where this week we've got 3 headlines, starting with Florida man traumatizes 5-year-old daughter by leaving her in a haunted house. Actually, that is an inaccurate headline, but the haunted house was in Florida. Apparently, he was from Indiana, and he was accused of child neglect after deputies said he left a young girl by herself at a haunted house on Florida's Space Coast down near NASA. She was left in there for multiple hours, and apparently she was his daughter. It doesn't even say that it was. Yeah, 5-year-old daughter of Jones, but an arrest report had the girl's age and relationship redacted. So we're not 100% sure that she was the daughter. Deputies were called after parents found the girl unsupervised in a haunted house for 2.5 hours.
Holy crap.
What do you think, man?
That's extreme. I mean, like, as someone who was not afraid of shit like this when I was a kid, like, scary movies and stuff, this would even freak me out at 5 years old, to just leave a kid in a haunted house.
Yeah, there's not a lot of information as to what his objective was. I don't know if he had to make a run real quick. No matter what he was doing, you can't leave your kid in a 5-year-old in a haunted house. That had to be fairly traumatic.
Oh, it has to be. Like, when you're that age, first of all, just to be when you're that age to be left in an unknown place at all.
Yeah. It would be horrifying if you were in Walmart.
Like, it's traumatic when you're a kid, and you think, we've all had that experience where, like, you get lost from your parents for a few seconds when you're a kid, and you think you're alone and someone's going to, like, take you, you know?
Yeah, I wonder if the people in the haunt were just like, I think we've scared her enough.
Just like, what do we do?
Yeah, dude. Was she hanging out in one room? Was she roaming through the place? Like, oh my God, I got to get out of here.
Well, I'm assuming she was like crying and stuff.
You would think.
Yeah, I don't picture her just like strolling through like no fucks given.
So you want it, like, was it punishment, you think? Like, did he do it as a way to like teach her a lesson?
I bet you it was horrible parenting, like, he needed to do something and was like, oh, she'll be fine in here for a bit.
Yeah, there's so many grown-ups here to take care of her.
Yeah, like, I bet you that's what it was.
Had to go score some meth.
You had to go get some nose weed.
I don't know, man. That it sounds sad. It sounds sad. It reminds me of the story last week with the guy throwing firecrackers under the little girl's bed while she was asleep.
That's the thing, is like, just as a human being, like, I don't know how you look at kids and be like, I want to traumatize them. They're fucking kids. You know, I think the human nature is just to kind of be nicer around kids.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you would think.
Like, that's the natural thing. Like, even when I didn't like kids when I was younger, I would still be nice around kids because they're kids.
All right. So if we were to just compare these two things, which would be more traumatizing as a child? The firecrackers under the bed or the 2.5 hours in the haunted house?
I think the 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I got to go the other way, man. There's not, like, the idea of being asleep in bed and then waking up to that shit. I mean, I don't know. Are we talking about startling, I guess? Or are we talking about long-term trauma? I guess that's a different question. Because
see, the startling, I would agree with you. I think long-term trauma, like, you're in your house, your parents are there, something. I mean, still meth head throwing like firecrackers,
Throwing explosives at you, yeah.
But I think it's quick. It's over. Not 2 hours of being left alone.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're old enough to understand that there are people in costumes and all of that kind of stuff, it's the idea of being left alone in the haunted house. Like, if you remember that, you got to be like,
talk about abandonment issues this kid's gonna have from this incident.
Yeah. Never gonna let their significant other like go to the bathroom.
No, I know this. I'm like, why would you do? Yeah, I think I'd have to go with this one just because of the length of time.
You guys let us know what you think down in the comments section. Florida man impersonating police officer arrested again for the same thing. This fucking guy, dude, it is so weird. He's apparently got a business. I don't know how you make money off this kind of business, but he's got like a separate fleet of fake officers that patrol this area. Okay, so it's in Windermere, Florida. Officials released body cam footage from the man who they said was impersonating an officer. One of the clips ultimately led to his arrest for the second time. The video captures him riding on his motorcycle at a high speed, crossing over lanes while weaving between cars. He's yelling at drivers, including, "Get the expletive over before you find out." He yells at a driver, and the guy says, "You're pretending to be a police officer." And DeWitt says, "I know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do."
So he wasn't like in a cop car, or how?
He's got motorcycles. He's got a fleet of motorcycles and SUVs that are equipped with purple and amber lights. So they're like just one shade over from regular cop lights.
So that's what cracked me up, because I'm like, the guy obviously was like, this is not a cop.
Yeah. Dude, you're an imposter.
And he has a fleet of them. Does he have like people, or is it two? It sounds like or is it just him?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if he actually has people on his payroll, but he was arrested in September, just a couple months ago, when he was impersonating an officer while escorting a funeral, and then became argumentative with the real police officers who stopped him and were just like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
Do they have a picture of the cars or anything?
Let me see. That's a good question. I actually didn't see any of it, but
I'm gonna Google it too real quick, because I want to see what these damn motorcycle cops look like. Impersonating police again. I see it. It looks like there might be a video too.
At breakneck speed.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Sometimes crossing over into the other direction, weaving between cars, even passing.
Oh yeah, dude, he is breaking the law so hard.
Yelling at other drivers.
What a maniac.
Before you find out, stop pretending you're a police officer. Listen, I know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office.
Jeremy DeWitt. That sounds like a Jeremy move. Fucking
yeah. Like, was that me? Did I do that?
Let's see. According to an affidavit, he had a group. Yeah, he has fellow employees that all do the same shit. Directing traffic and illegally recording a phone conversation with a woman who complained about it. They've got a name. So you guys be on the lookout for these that article is
on the
horrible,
window.
dude.
It says Metro State.
Metro State.
On the window. This dude's like, "You're impersonating an officer, dude. What the hell?
You weirdo." Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking. Like, do you make money off of it? I don't know.
I know what I'm allowed to do.
Yeah, I'm allowed to just fly through traffic and yell at random people. No, I don't see any pictures of the actual Metro State, Florida fake police arrest. I mean, how much more specific can I get?
I like that it's like his own dash cam video.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's cop cars.
Oh, you see it?
The video, if it goes farther in, they show like cop cars and they say Metro State on them.
Apparently he's a sex offender.
Of course he is.
Barks profanities at drivers. Okay, the Orlando Sentinel says he's a sex offender. Then it talks about he's been arrested at least 3 times. He has a gun belt and a vehicle equipped with flashing lights. Okay, so what was Jeremy DeWitt's sex crime? Let's find out what this... Dude, how creepy is that, though? Some person with an entire fleet of fake officers going around and obviously sexually assaulting people. I don't think that's what he was arrested for, though. Let's see.
MetroStateServices.net. Is this them?
Oh, did you find something?
Yep. Go to Metro-StateServices.net. This is their actual website.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. I got to pull that up on OBS so you guys can see the quality web design going on here. I like how their logo up top is completely smashed together.
Yeah.
It looks like it was sketched out on with pencil. You see what I'm talking about? It just looks like a shitty sketch. The font are all fucked up.
You can apply for employment over here.
I wonder if the pay's good. We offer full fleet marked motorcade unites.
Gallery.
Actually.
There's gallery. Yeah, this is like, if you look at the gallery, he has a ton of people on his payroll.
Funeral motorcade, VIP protection, events, high-risk funerals, gangs, family disputes, etc. But if you go through and just kind of like read on the how many typos are in there, it's like,
services, is like...
Oh, man. Oh, what a weird thing. So, yeah, dude, there is a whole fleet of them, and they got little purple lights on the side of their vehicles. It's a BMW, man. Their motorcycles are Beamers. Service request. I wonder if we could get a reply for this from next time. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Name for service request. Jack Mehoff. Service location. We'll say Pensacola. Okay, destination. We'll say Denver, Colorado.
He's going to do a multi-state.
Date requested, 420.
So here's the thing that cracks me up is they're... So I know there's like private security firms that do stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he can't pull over people, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah. Private security is definitely a thing, but you can't be impersonating cops when you do it. And yes, you put on your lights just so that you can fucking speed. That's insane.
I love that on there, apply for Metro State, name, email, address, upload resume, upload copy of your driver's license. No, I'm not uploading a copy of my driver's license.
No. Gallery. Okay.
It's a YouTube channel.
Man, these guys are the best. There's a bunch of them. Like you said, dude, I see like 10 in this picture.
And they got 73 subscribers.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Special day at advanced training.
So basically they have one subscribe for every employee.
Yeah.
Oh, we can call them, dude. I wish I could call them on the fucking computer. Let's see if I can do that. Can we do it on Hangouts?
I wonder.
Dude, I want to fuck with these people. Like, big time. Phone calls. New conversation. Let's see if this works. Call. Register your phone before you make calls on Hangouts. You must register a phone number. Text me the code at this time. Oh, man. Valid phone number. Dude, this could be a whole new thing that we do on the show.
Oh, man.
What do we need him for? Just so we know, like verification code. Okay, what do we need? What are we going to solicit these people for? 928.
We're having a gathering of juggalos in Pensacola.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we find that people aren't like super accepting of clown lifestyles.
Yeah, that's a perfect thing.
All right, you're still on the line. Oh, yeah.
Are you doing it or am I doing it?
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling Metro State. We apologize, but currently all of our officers are either on another line or in the field. If you leave a detailed message along with the date, time, and contact number where you can be reached, the first available officer will return your call immediately. Thank you for choosing Metro State Special Services, Central Florida's #1 vehicle protection unit.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, good morning. This is Jack, and we are calling because we are interested in potentially acquiring your services. We are here located in Pensacola and aren't sure exactly how far you guys are willing to travel, but we're having a gathering of the Juggalos, and we find that sometimes people here on the Florida Panhandle aren't accepting of grown men and women dressed like clowns. So we would like to potentially render your services or have your services rendered. So if you could just give me a call back. Again, this is Jack Mehoff, last name Mehoff. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. All right, let's see if we get a phone call back for that.
The Gathering of Juggalos works. I'm so disappointed they didn't answer.
Man, what a bullshit message, too. Can you call yourself officers? Is a security guard an officer? I don't know, man. That whole thing is a trip, bro.
It's a fucking weird situation.
All right, we'll move on. That's quality shit. Oh, wait, I didn't look and see what... Oh, here we go, bro. 2005. This guy that we're talking about right now. Lewd and lascivious battery, sex with victim 12 to 15 years old.
Whoa.
So, yeah, let that guy run security for you.
Yeah, that's who I want watching anything.
Wow. All right.
I wouldn't let that guy watch my dog. You know what I mean?
Shit got dark real quick
And
there.
I don't even have a dog. I wouldn't even let him walk through my hypothetical dog.
Damn, bro. All right. Last story here, and then we'll move on. This is, let's see how I wrote this headline. Florida man seen sawing sawfish a saw off.
What the hell did you say?
All right, one more time. Florida man seen sawing sawfish a saw off.
Florida man seen sawing sawfish.
Saw off. Yeah.
Saw off?
Seen sawing sawfish a saw off.
Yeah, that thing you said.
So it looks kind of like a stingray. These things, they're called sawfish. Really, really interesting looking, almost like very prehistoric looking fish. And I think they're common to a couple of different coastal low-lying areas. They're saltwater fish, and they're, like I said, real unusual looking, but apparently they're also incredibly endangered and are like real important to the ecosystem. So there is a hefty fine attached to killing them. And there was a Florida man who, 38-year-old Jacksonville resident, pleaded guilty to killing a small-toothed sawfish. Last year, he was seen removing the rostrum from a 12-foot small-toothed sawfish with a power saw. So he sawed off the sawfish's saw with a saw.
Why?
Kind of like a rhino horn situation.
Oh, not the, like I say, like how it makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Well, you get the frame of reference. I sent you a picture of it via Twitter.
The sawfish?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I know what they look like.
Oh, okay. You're familiar.
Yeah, they're like the flat bill. They look like a saw.
It looks like a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool looking animals. Real weird, though. But apparently he is facing a maximum of 1 year in federal prison and a $50,000 fine. And dude, at first I'm like, man, that seems extremely harsh for killing an animal, especially if you don't know that it's endangered or that it's illegal. But the fact that he was seen with a power saw aboard his fishing vessel, sawing off its saw and throwing it back into the water, it's an extension of their nose and it can't survive without it. It's how it finds and disables prey. It's been recognized as an endangered species since 2003, part of the family of rays characterized by its long flattened nostrum lined with sharp teeth, and they're among the largest fish and are found in meaningful numbers only in southeastern United States, mostly on the southwest coast of Florida. Generally harmless to humans, however, they can seriously injure you with their saws if threatened. But yeah, just the callousness of the idea of carrying a power saw on your boat to go out and catch one of those things to saw its fucking head off or face off and then throw it back in the water is pretty sick.
The mutilated carcass back, like,
yeah,
that's my thing is, and you know me, we've talked on here, I'm fine with killing animals, I'm fine with eating animals, but like mutilating an animal just for sport is sick to me.
Yep. Yeah, it's like kind of shark fin soup, only I guess you could say at least people eat the shark fins afterwards.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to consume this thing. It's merely just a like a prop for whatever he planned on using it for.
Yeah, to me there's something lacking if you can't have any sort of empathy for an animal. Like as much as I talk shit about not liking animals, I kind of play it off a little bit. Like you got to have empathy to the point where maybe not mutilating something with a chainsaw. Like that's serial killer shit.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you. And it is, on one hand, this isn't probably like an intelligent animal in the same way that like mammals are or something like that.
Probably not an
It's just
intelligent person either if I was going to bet on it.
Correct. Fair point. But yeah, dude, 12 foot. I had no idea they've gotten that big. I've actually never seen one outside of the context of in zoos or aquariums.
I don't even know if I've ever seen one in an aquarium. By now I've seen pictures of them.
Yeah, they're so interesting looking. Just a completely unlike any other animal.
They look made up. They look like honestly like a bad design too. Like that square nose with a chainsaw on the end. Like no.
Yeah, very prehistoric looking.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Fish. Prehistoric. I know there was like those really weird looking shark dinosaurs, and their bottom mandible curls around like a nautilus.
Swordfish is also a pretty weird looking animal when you think about it.
Swordfish? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're like real unicorns, man.
Yeah, they're like the narwhal is the real unicorn.
Yeah, for sure. So this thing is called a helicoprion, and it's a really crazy looking shark where the freaking bottom jaw looks like a buzzsaw. You ever seen those before?
No, it's called a what?
Helicoprion. Helicoperion. And like if the sawfish looks like it has a freaking chainsaw for a snout, this thing literally looks like its bottom jaw is a buzzsaw, like a fucking that's what they're called, a buzzsaw.
Oh yeah, that is interesting.
I mean, they died out millions of years ago.
A buzzsaw.
Yeah, weird.
That's
Evolution's
cool,
a strange thing. Yeah. All right. I think that covers the Florida Man stories. Now we'll go ahead and switch over to the weekly topics. I think we'll start off with the heavy and then end on the light.
I think that's perfect.
All right. So for mine, and it's not got to be heavy, but for a little bit of context for those of you guys that don't know, Congress and Mark Zuckerberg have been having hearings lately for a lot of different reasons. There was the Libra currency thing, but the most recent is whether or not politicians should be allowed to do paid advertising on social media platforms. Obviously, the fundamental debate and divide seems to be the ideology of free speech. And I don't know how much that necessarily applies when we're talking about private companies. Jack Dorsey came out after. Okay, so Mark Zuckerberg basically said, we're not going to prevent advertisers from being able to market whatever they want to, let the market decide kind of thing. It's not our job to police and try to find out what is true or how people can perpetuate fake news or whatever, because you allow public discourse. Then Jack Dorsey, who's the owner of Twitter, the person who created Twitter, he came out in almost direct opposition from that. And not only is he not allowing for unchecked fake news to be promoted or marketed on Twitter, but he's stopping political advertising, period, on Twitter. So we've got now both ends of the spectrum. One saying we're not going to intervene at all, and one saying we're going to shut it down completely. What do you think about this?
So I think they're both private companies and they can do whatever the hell want. To me, this is actually, they both took in a weird way, the same stance. They took freedom of speech stance as a private company. They're allowed to manage it however they want.
Yeah.
So I'm a notorious Twitter hater. I hate everything about that platform. And hate's a strong word. I dislike the way Jack Dorsey manages the free speech on it, because it's something that is all free speech. I'm surprised he took the stance, because that's kind of what he's been in heat for, is like, come on, dude, like, you claim yourself for your free speech. To me, Mark Zuckerberg is taking a pretty traditionalist stance. This is no different than TV. I think political ads have been bullshit for our entire lives. They put spin on everything for our entire lives. They've lied about everything for our entire lives. Not saying that's right, but I mean, we had a very microcosm at the beginning of stupid news, but where literally I was watching the BBC and CNN and whoever else spin a story too, and that's a legitimate news source. That's the thing is, now outright lies, 100%, but spin's part of politics, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people like. We do tend to look at things at their most like rudimentary, right or wrong, black or white, good or bad. And I honestly believe that the truth is a lot more elusive than we initially think it to be. And spin is the key word. It's like when you say something quantifiable, like 75% of people don't like Joe Biden. Okay, well, that's quantifiable. But if you say most people don't like, or I guess even that's quantifiable. But if you say the people don't like Joe Biden, well, is that really quantifiable? Or like, we've heard that 75% of people don't like Joe Biden. Well, who's to say they did or didn't hear that? So it begins to be a game of semantics. And I don't know that there's artificial intelligence that can clearly define what is true from what is opinion.
We'll use the little story that I was talking about before. I don't know if we got any of it in, but the Trump being booed at UFC. I read an article. Trump walks out to overwhelming boos and a few cheers. Then you listen to the video and you're like, that's not really what happened. But are they lying? I mean, in my opinion, I would say yes, but depending on what ear you have, I guess you could make an argument that they heard more boos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you talk about it said two words and it sounded like either of them, depending on which one you heard first. I don't remember what it was. Yanni fucking whatever it was. You guys know what I'm talking about. Let me know down in the comments section.
Yeah, Yancy, whatever the heck. I know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, I guess what you said is that you can kind of hear what you want to hear.
Do you think, like, as far as I think Jack Dorsey did something smart, though, and again, it's a private company, he can run however he wants. There's a reason why Twitter loses money month after month after month, you know? But I think he did a smart thing. Instead of trying to dig through what's real and what's fake and this, because then he sets himself up as he's already been criticized for being biased, you know, it's by the nature of it. So I think he did the smartest thing possible, and I give him kudos for this, is saying, hey, how about we just don't put any of it on it? And I feel like Jack Dorsey, honestly, I think he's trying to take the platform and make it less political, because he's seen it where it's gone, and they hemorrhaging losers. They have the users. They're having people. The people who use it religiously, but like new users, and the active user base is like people who have 3 accounts. There's a lot of like people with like 3 or 4 Twitter accounts, and it's those type of people. They're not really growing as a platform. And I think he's identified the fact that it's because it's very toxic to be on Twitter. It's very political. And I feel like this is a capitalist move to try to correct some things. And he's doing it in a way that still seems righteous, you know?
I tend to fall on the side of Jack Dorsey on this particular issue. However, I think there's validity to both sides of it. I can absolutely see both sides of it. I do feel like you said about like paid political advertising has always been a problem. I feel like we shouldn't allow another, I say we, I feel like these social media platforms shouldn't allow another giant megaphone to project untruths. I mean, we saw the role, what you believe is different, but we saw that Russia was in fact using Facebook as a way to sway discourse in America. 100%. And so I also don't feel like the people with the deeper pockets should be able to have more exposure on any given platform. Like if I had $1 million to promote whatever I wanted to, then I could probably sway public opinion, where if the person next to me has, I don't know, $100, they wouldn't be able to get the same amount. So I don't like the super wealthy being able to control the information that the public and the masses are actually being able to consume.
But that's already happening on Twitter with celebrities.
Absolutely.
You know, they're already, that's what I'm saying is celebrities, the thing that he's trying to prevent is already a huge problem on Twitter. How many celebrities go out there left, right, center and say utter bullshit that is factually incorrect. And then you see thousands upon thousands of comments who now believe that fake, that set of falsehoods.
And
it's already happening on his platform. That's my thing.
I think that that's okay, so long as those celebrities, and I know that they've paid in other ways, but so long as they're not actually putting money into promoting those ads, I think that they can use the platform.
What about news organizations who've on like Fox News doing like conservative spins that have been fake, or CNN doing liberal spins, and they promote those things?
It's a really good point.
It's already happening. This is a PR move. That's all I see this as.
Absolutely. I mean, it was Jack Dorsey. It was throwing shade
on both ends.
at Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. I don't know.
That being said, do I want every idiot to put out fake shit? I feel like that's what's wrong with social media right now. I mean, you go on Twitter or Facebook, it's millions of uneducated people with extremist views leaving out every part of a story that they feel doesn't fit their narrative.
Absolutely. And yeah, like, you know, you touched on it at the beginning. It's gotten to the point that everything is just inflammatory.
It's awful.
Nobody wants to be intellectuals about anything because they understand that people kind of want to deal in absolutes. So they break it down to its most right and wrong. Again, this idea of these absolutes that there's no room for nuance. And the thing is, Facebook is a social media platform for people that aren't all that smart, unfortunately.
I would say the same exact thing for Twitter.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess the world is kind of a place for people that aren't all that smart. I just find that boomers tend to be more susceptible to fake news and less capable of discerning it.
That is, I would say, 100% correct. But at the same time, this is totally anecdotal. When I was on Twitter, the amount of fake shit I would see from young millennials too, who believed it, was unbelievable that 2 seconds of a Google search could have fixed.
See, for me, and I think the thing about Facebook is if you look at...
I mean, I don't have either, so...
Yeah, right. If you look at Facebook and the statistics of it, I believe that it skews older millennials, Gen Xers, boomers. Facebook or Twitter, I believe, is kind of the same demographics. It's a lot of the same, but then skews a little bit younger also. But I think people my age, your age, a little bit younger than us, have had to navigate that a little bit better so that we are more skeptical, where I feel like people on Facebook is the internet to those people.
Very true.
Like they don't
like the boomers.
Yeah. Like they get their fucking information from Facebook. They don't go outside of it. Like for somebody like myself who will log into Twitter, log into Facebook, log into Instagram, and mostly get my information way outside of that shit. It just feels like that's the trend I've noticed.
The thing that I feel like too is for the boomers specifically, is they're from the Walter Cronkite, one news source era.
Yes.
Which has been so romanticized. That was all spin too. It was never an objective truth. It never has been. It was always people putting spins on stuff. It always has been. And we do this nostalgia thing where we like to think it wasn't. And somehow we think more options of opinions is a worse thing than when we had one more central homogenized opinion. And imagine if Fox News was the only source or CNN was the only source. Does that make those sources inherently better because there's less scrutiny under them? I don't think so. And I feel like this whole thing of like, the good old days of news, I don't know if it ever really existed.
Will Jack Dorsey's decision to do this on Twitter or Mark Zuckerberg's position over on Facebook Are either of those things going to put free speech in jeopardy?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think
they're
this,
private corporations. They can do what they want.
And if you have an understanding of what free speech is, this isn't about free speech. I mean, it's 100% seems to be that the narrative built around this conversation is about free speech, but I don't believe that paid speech and free speech are the same thing. We're talking about paid speech here.
See, I take a different stance. I think paid speech is 100% free speech. Money is you're allowed to spend it however you want, and to boost your voice as much as you want. If we decided we took out a loan for $100,000 and we wanted to promote our podcast on all these platforms, that's, to me, the exact definition of paid speech.
In this particular hearing, I think the conversation was, should political figures be allowed to pay to promote fake news? If I'm not mistaken, that's what the original hearing was.
If it's quantifiably fake, like it is, like you said, like it's 75% of people hate Joe Biden or whatever, the example you use. If then I agree. No, they shouldn't be allowed to promote that, but I mean, I would like to take all the spin out because I fucking hate spin.
So
it's not going to happen.
As a human being, yeah, well, okay, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think that it's possible? I mean, wouldn't that take AI to not have a bias? And even if you feed an AI information enough to become its own sentient, to have preference, doesn't everything become spin?
Yes. And that's the thing, too, is if anyone in a news position or even something as small as a microcosm as our thing says that they're an unbiased source, fucking run from them.
Yeah. Like
it doesn't exist.
Your bias and my bias are different, which allows us to be a little bit more objective. But I just acknowledged I have a bias and you have a bias.
Every person does. When some people say they have unbiased, I'm like, it doesn't happen because our life experiences form biases within
Correct.
us. The people I like are, when I listen to like politics, are the people who come out and say, hey, my views from a conservative lens. Hey, my views from a liberal lens. I will gladly listen to either one of those two.
I also think that we are discerning enough to be able to identify it, even if they're not completely candid about it, where I will see people share the craziest shit on Facebook. And it's like,
I haven't been on Facebook in like over a decade. So take all of the shit I say with a very grain of salt.
Well, and maybe I am too immersed in it. Maybe that's the thing, is seeing all of the cracks in it compared to Twitter, because you have spent more time on Twitter than I have. And I resent the fact that I use Facebook in the first place, just because it feels like it's full of so much misinformation and people pass it along. But I guess you say the same about Twitter.
Perfect example. I can't tell you how often when I was on Twitter more, I would follow all the news sources because I think it was healthy. And I can't tell you how many times I'd see major news sources post something that is fake, like literally the definition of fake news. Not like, oh, they put a spin, like this is fake. They'd leave the story out there for 2 days. Then they'd post a redaction, say, oh, we messed up all the main points of the story, essentially. That would have no interactions. But the comment underneath the article that said whatever it said that was quantifiably false would have all of these things. And then they would have 100,000 retweets and the redaction has 2,000.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Because we are so reactionary. It's the emotional thing that we're going to respond to.
And I've done it. I've done it. I've read something and then had to redact my thing after researching stuff because I'm like, what the fuck? That's horrible.
Yeah.
And then you research it, the Jussie Smollett thing. Right away, I was like, yo, this is horrible. Why would someone? And then literally within 10 minutes, I was like, oop, I'm taking this off because there's something fishy here.
Absolutely. I did it just yesterday about Jeremy Renner, of all things. The headline was like, Jeremy Renner accused or something of biting his daughter, having a drug and alcohol problem, all of these things. And I shared it just like, oh, this is really sad. And then I started reading the article and was like, oh my God, this is just all things that his ex-wife, who's trying to get money and fucking total custody of her kid, is saying. I can't post this hearsay bullshit,
That's I'm gonna take out perfect example, take out a politics realm. I remember one of the things on Twitter that I saw was an article that says Bradley Cooper mad that he wasn't nominated for Best Director for A Star Is Born or something like that. Something vaguely that. And all the comments are like, wow, what a douchebag, this, and this. So I clicked on the article. It's not at all what he said. He says, you know, I'm disappointed in myself. I'm paraphrasing, but he goes, yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. You know, like Lady Gaga was nominated, the music was nominated, and I wasn't. That seems like I need to grow as a director. Like I should have been nominated. That means I need to do a better job next time. I'm kind of disappointed when everyone else gets nominated and I don't. It's a failure on my end. So literally it's like self-deprecating, really, you know, introspective. And the Twitter mob apparently now just thinks for a couple of days thought he was this self-entitled
white privilege.
Yeah. And I'm just like, and I'm like, dude, you guys obviously didn't click the article. And shame on the news outlets who wrote a headline that was super inflammatory. And then when you read the article, has literally does not state that.
They completely dial it back. Plus, after you get to that headline, it's like, here's the information. But if you react to the headlines, then you're going to get the clicks. People will read a headline, immediately share it before they even get the information. And yeah,
they only read the first paragraph.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, this is a stupid example, which is obviously written as satire, but this is from Facebook. And we're talking about this. Congress is talking about whether or not Facebook should allow fake political posts on it. This post says, scientific fact. A dog gets more information from sniffing another dog's butt than a human does from watching CNN or MSNBC. That is not a scientific fact, but it is framed in a way that it is undoubtedly a lie, even though it's satire.
Well, I'll take that one step further. You know how many people I talk to who say that The Daily Show and Colbert are their only source of news? That's satire. It's comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same shit. This has been going on forever. It's just going on in a new platform.
And what's interesting, again, being able to extrapolate what the news parts of a satire news show from what is spin, exactly what you said earlier, again, coming back to that, is it's easy for somebody who's watched satire through that lens for a long time. Like I was watching Internet Today yesterday when my mother and I were on our way back from Mississippi. I was in the car with her and I had it on my phone. And I was like, oh my goodness, did you hear about this particular headline that we're talking about? And she says, oh, I think all that's a joke. And I'm like, no, it is. The show itself is two guys joking on like what we do. You know what I mean? We're building content around what is a kernel of truth, a whole bunch of our conversation. But I would think that the discerning listener would be able to say, okay, that's the headline. And then this is their stupid take on it.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like if anyone's like, are you news? I'm not trying to be that, you know, and I don't think you are either. I'm trying to be entertainment and just have a good time and play with ideas, thought experiments. I just feel like, I don't know what the answer is because I think Jack Dorsey's stance of, to me, I think it would be awesome if Jack Dorsey took this farther. And it's like, we're just like, if you're blocking words like Trump, we're blocking words like this. If you're going to do it, just do it. Just don't be free speech at all. You know, just be like, hey, I don't want to hear the word Democrat, liberal, conservative, this on our platform. Let's just like take it off. Let's take off the news outlets. But that's never going to happen, obviously.
No, it's interesting.
And I would think that would be interesting. But even look at that. Like I said, even we take out all that. We just talked about celebrities that are fake news bullshit that's being shared on both of the platforms.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a solution.
I think the solution is to be informed as much as you can yourself and realize that everything you're watching does have a bias.
Individual accountability. There's no way to institutionalize critical thought.
And the best thing I can recommend to everyone is follow follow liberal people, follow conservative people, listen to conservatives, listen to liberals, because good chance the truth is somewhere very in between both of their hot takes.
I think that is such a great point. And I literally, and I've done this, and I think you and I doing the podcast has helped me to do it. But if I read something on CNN, on Huffington Post, and I have an emotional reaction, my literal first course of action is to go and find that same story on the other side.
it makes you less extreme. I know it has for me because I've wanted to come into discussions more informed because of the show, you know, on the podcast, because we're putting our voices out there, and I've had guttural reactions where I hear something with a conservative spin, and my biases tend to be conservative, even though sometimes I even have a hard time saying that because I get so sick of that. Yeah, but my gut reaction now is when I hear something, I'm like, can you believe this? Let me hear what the liberals are saying. Yeah. And then usually 9 times out of 10, there's very rarely where I read an article from the liberal and like, oh, well, it's just them, or I read an article conservative, and I'm like, I align with both sides. 9 times out of 10, you're like, oh, so this wasn't as extreme. The world isn't ending. Oh, yeah, that's a little problem, but this is also kind of a positive of it. Like nothing is that black and white, but it's easy, it's digestible, it's clickable.
Yep, 100%. All right, well, from there, let's go ahead and move on to the fun topic of how you would survive in a zombie apocalypse, or what your plan of attack or action would be in a zombie apocalypse. I gave it some thought. I was walking my dog last night, and I put a bunch of notes in my little note on my phone. My notes on my phone. So, what is your take? Okay, I have a couple questions. First of all, what kind of zombies are we talking about here?
Oh, I always go slow traditional zombie.
Slow design. All right. That puts us at I think we could potentially thrive in a slow zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
The other question is, what kind of resources are we going into this thing with? What we have right now
you have right in your house for what happened today.
Okay. So here we go. I'm going to go slow so that if at any time, feel free to jump in. My first step would be to take my wife shopping, or more accurately, looting. But the thing is, you don't want to have conflict with people, because if I've learned one thing, people are way more fucking dangerous than slow zombies. So you got to make sure you're good with people. You only want to loot if you can get away with it. If there's somebody there guarding their fucking store or whatever, you might have to spend a couple bucks. But my first idea is to go shopping. You got to go to a pawn shop first before anything, because you're going to have to get lots of guns and ammunition. Guns are expensive though, so hopefully you'd be able to loot some sort of sporting goods section, some sort of pawn shop.
Yeah, I was gonna say guns is the first thing you want to get. Guns and something. My plan is always, so long-term plan. I'll show you my long-term plan is to get the fuck out of Denver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you headed? Where are you headed?
Somewhere where it doesn't snow fucking like crazy. Because snow is great. Snow is not great when the heat's off and the power grid's out.
Snow is reclaimable water.
Yeah, well, that's true. But yeah, if you can survive being -5 degrees.
All right. So obviously, you're going to go and you're going to get your guns and you're going to get your ammo, but you've got to load that shit immediately. You can't wait for anything. Like your first course of action, you got to load your weapons, get them ready to fire, because everybody's got the same shit going on. Everybody's in a panic right now. But then you're going to go to the hardware store. There's a bunch of shit you got to get from the hardware store. You got to get gasoline, more gasoline. You got to get lighters, matches, propane tanks for your grill or your skillet. You got to get power and garden tools. I mean, specifically like machetes, hatchets, axes, hammer and nails. You got to get plywood and lumber. Obvious reasons, and we'll come back around to it. And then it's very important. This is probably the most important part. You're going to want to get a shitload of Vaseline and like 1,000 rolls of duct tape, because you're going to need that fucking duct tape for just whatever. And don't forget batteries. You got to have lots of batteries. And then also seed and fertilizer. You can get lots of seeds real easy. You can carry that shit in your pocket, and then you got to get a generator. So that's a lot of stuff at the hardware store.
Do you have a vehicle that is capable of carrying all this?
No, not in one trip. No, that's actually a really good point. But I don't know. I assume in this situation, I would be able to jack a fucking truck, or like probably like a U-Haul.
Yeah, I would say something like a U-Haul would probably be the best course of action, even though you're going to burn through gas like a motherfucker. Yeah, my next thing was obviously gas. That was my first thing, is like get something to hold gas, which is hardware store, and obviously get machetes, stuff like that. And don't go for a chainsaw. It's too clunky.
Yeah, why do you need a chainsaw? Yeah, 100% agree, dude. Hatchet or freaking machete is way superior.
Yeah, machete, or if for some reason if you're at the pawn shop and they have a really sharp, genuine samurai sword, you grab that.
Yes. I mean, dude, even a hammer will do you pretty good.
I always hate movies where, even though it's cool, I'm like, chainsaw's the worst zombie weapon ever.
100%. Not, I mean, and you can't use it if it runs out of gas. It just seems like a bad idea.
Now, not that you could find this anywhere anyway, but definitely semi-auto. Not like you can just walk in and get full autos, despite what people think. But semi-auto, something that is high enough caliber to stop in one shot, and then easy to aim.
Yeah, that's the thing about handguns is they kind of suck as far as long range.
I feel like
accuracy.
you're going to make most of your shots close range.
That's why I would definitely think handguns would be superior. Plus, they're just easier to carry. They're not so bulky, all that kind of shit. You make it through smaller areas and stuff more comfortably. All right, so then you got to go to the grocery store, and you're going to want to get canned goods. No shit. Anything non-perishable. So you get like canned soups, chili, fruits, vegetables, chicken, Spam, ham, Deanna sausage, peanut butter, and then like little Debbie snacks or Hostess snacks because they got a long shelf life. And then a ton of water. Obviously, water is probably the most important fucking thing for survival.
Yeah, you want to get bottled water as much as you can carry and canned food. That was where my brain went right away.
And so I wonder about how much how long would you be prepping for in this situation?
So I don't feel like you're going to have much time to prep. I mean, I think you probably are going to have 2 hours.
No, I mean, like, what is your thoughts on the time frame? Like, how much of this stuff would you think you like? We talking about surviving for a month, for a year? Like, what would your be approach?
End of humanity is kind of where my head's going.
Yeah, that's what makes it tough. So I say you got to grab enough of that shit to be able to get you through for like, I would say at least a month. Even though I know
you
that's
need to grab
not
as
near
much
enough.
as you can.
Yeah.
You know, because it's going to be hard and you're going to have to constantly loot as you go. Especially with my plan where you have to move a fucking state away.
So so after I get all my groceries, I've been to the hardware store. I've already gone by the pawn shop. I've got pretty much everything I need at this point, but I've got to make sure to get first aid supplies like Band-Aids, hand sanitizer, soap, and rubbing alcohol and toothpaste. All these things are important.
Are you staying in Pensacola? Or are you moving?
No, that's what I was about to say. So after I get that stuff, and I can't forget pet food because I got to be able to feed my cat and dog, so I need even extra cans for that. Stop by the weed man's house, get a quarter pounder, and then head to the house. And when I get to the house, you secure it with the fucking stuff you got from the hardware store. You make sure you secure all the exits with plywood, hammer and nails like they did in Night of the Living Dead. And now I've got the house swept. I went in through with the gun. Always you got a wife. You've also got a child on the way. In my situation, I've got a wife. So we always maintain the 12 and 6 positions. We're always walking back to back. We're both armed and we're looking in both directions at any given time. So we're doing co-op mode.
What's the population of Pensacola?
It's big. Let me see.
Real quick. Oh, okay. Actually, you're in a perfect spot. It's 52,000. Is that it?
Uh-huh. But that's not the greater Pensacola area. Okay. That's so Pensacola.
Metro. Let me see.
Uh-huh. It gets real rural.
460.
How much?
460.
Yeah, it's a shitload.
So you're in actually a pretty good area because this is the reason that I want to get out of Denver. So Denver Metro is 3 million.
Oh, holy shit.
And so
holy fuck.
Yeah. So we need to get the hell out of here.
Yes.
Because population is a bad setup with zombies. Cold and population is like just 2 things you don't want.
So
because
okay, on that point, I was going to ask you that. In this situation, in a survival scenario, are people good or bad?
I feel like there can be good, but also more people means more zombies.
Yeah. People are a liability. They're fucking mouths to feed. They could snap on you at any given time. You hole up with a stranger for a week. Huh? More
than like 20 people with you. Like in your commune, like is the max.
Yeah, dude. I would try to keep it so scarce. I mean, like to me, bro, if I'm being honest, I would have to do very little adapting.
Because I'm like, okay, I'm in the city. Let's say I run out of the neighbor next to us runs out of supplies, and they're in panic mode. Where are they coming to get their supplies?
100%. It's the people you got to look out for.
That's why I'm like, I need to at least get out of Denver. Even if I try to, it would be a long-term journey, to get out of there. My first thing would be to head probably south, somewhere like toward New Mexico, where the climate's a little more temperate. Maybe somewhere there's this place called Raton. It's not too busy, not too big. There's still some population. Maybe head to a place like that where there's still enough of a civilization to loot and do stuff, but not so much. And that's only about 4 hours away. So I can make that in a day as long as the highways are okay. That would probably be my first course of action. Is like I said, 3 million people is just too many people for a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, that's intense. That's intense. And because I live in an apartment complex, I feel like everything's nondescript enough that it doesn't really... there's nothing about my place that would stick out from anybody else's place. I mean, if some fucking raiders came up in here and went door to door to every apartment... That would be the most dangerous part of it. If people could just get along, the zombies aren't even a fucking issue. I feel like I've got all this Vaseline or petroleum jelly and all of this duct tape. So I remember, what was it? Train to Busan. The guy, he had the best idea, dude. He duct taped a phone book around his arm and used it as a shield. But I'm thinking, fuck that, because I've got 1,000 rolls of duct tape. You literally just coat your body in Vaseline and then wrap the duct tape really thick around your extremities.
And that's probably the best idea, is to keep yourself, covered up as much as humanly possible, because the zombies are the initial threat. That's the threat within the first month, max. After that, it's people.
Yeah.
When supplies start running out and food's running scarce and stuff like that, and Denver's pretty big firearm state. There's a lot of rednecks in rural Colorado who have a lot of guns. So you need to be prepared for anything out there. And I'm in a house, I'm in a basement, but I do rent a house. So to me, I don't know. And I'm in the city. I feel like I'm the worst spot to have any of this go down. On
one hand, a bunker is super secure. On the other hand, there's only one way in and out.
Yeah.
So it's it's kind of like going up the stairs in a horror movie. In a way, you're kind of screwed if something starts trying to get in down there and you not really got a way out. However, it's super secure and you wouldn't have to do all the boarding up and all of that kind of shit that you would have to do in a place where there's a lot of exposed
windows and stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, it would be easy to board up mine. I mean, there's only a couple of windows, but then what if a fire happens? I mean, I worry about that now.
Yeah.
You know?
What kind of sucks about my situation is not having a yard. I mean, there are pieces of property here on the apartment complex that I could probably freaking secure, fortify, and then eventually the idea would be to start planting those seeds that I got and reclaiming rainwater, so long as the rainwater wasn't super fucking toxic. But even if it is, I've got a good bit of propane that I can cook the water on and hopefully cook out any of the impurities on it. And then basically I would just be living as a hippie.
With propane, I'd be fucked. I totally forgot about grabbing propane.
You gotta have propane is a wonder for
a generator, but I didn't think propane.
And Caleb, I thought about this also. I've survived about 5 hurricanes, so this is really like a hurricane preparedness list.
I would agree. That is, because I've never been through any. I've never lived in a place where when you get a snowstorm, it's a day or two.
Yeah, I went 21 days without power before, and I did just fucking fine. And that's why I feel and when we talk about camping and stuff, I've had to rough it. I remember about 18 days in, we were completely out of water, and we had to drive with the little bit of gas that we had, because there was no gas for fucking hundreds of miles around in any direction. But we went to the state college, and there were lines of vehicles wrapped around the school, and there was military giving out cases of Anheuser-Busch cans of water, and they would only give you one at a time, so 24 pack of water at a time, and you'd have to wait 2 or 3 hours for it. But it was like a disaster. I mean, that's what it was. It was like a disaster area. So, I mean, you throw a couple of slow walking zombies into the mix, and it's pretty much it's the same fucking thing, Yeah,
you're kind of prepared for it more than I would be, because That's what it is. I always say zombie movies are just disaster movies. That's really all they are.
Yeah.
It's just a different disaster. Yeah.
Fast moving zombies, you've got a fucking problem though.
Oh yeah, fast moving zombies, you're fucked. Like I don't even want to think about fast moving zombies because it's just not going to be good.
Yeah, I don't even know if you can, like you were saying earlier, classic slow walking zombies. I think there's a case to be made that those other ones aren't really quite zombies.
Yeah, no, the Freakers or whatever, like the Days Gone game came out, and people were like, "It's a zombie game," and the creators were like, "No, it's Freakers," and everyone's like, "That's just a cop out because you don't want to call them zombies." I'm like, well, they're really not. They're people who went crazy and they run after you and bite you. Like they're not real zombies.
And I wonder, like, also, I think that zombie outbreak wouldn't quite be an outbreak. I think we would get that shit under wraps pretty fucking fast, even if it meant dropping a bomb on a town.
It would just, the shit would hit the fan that quick. Unless, even then though, like unless the dead are rising, you know, from the graves. How many cemeteries around you? There's one actually right by my house. But besides that, like there's not like there's just all these cemeteries. And if they are going to rise, they'd have to be new bodies. It's not like bones are going to come back.
No, and I mean, if we even start looking at that from like a pragmatic approach, those zombies come back to life. They ain't crawling out of the ground. They're just fucking stuck down there in coffins under 6 foot of soil, you know?
Like it's not, that's my thing is like, when you think about the zombie outbreak, it's, even though it's a genre I absolutely love.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things where it's not a, it's all fantasy, you know, like the slow walking zombies aren't going to be that, you know, that hard. Like they're really not, but I don't know. I still wouldn't want to really mess with them.
Now, if there was something kind of crazy, like in Bird Box, where like if you saw something, or like if rain came down and infected a whole shitload of people all at one time, that would be, you know, I mean, there are scenarios where it would go poorly, but if it all originated from one bite, it would be handled before it even got out of the building. Some security guard would just shoot before zombie's dead or whatever, and that would be the end of the outbreak.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we could get prepared. I mean, if the shit does go down, I think we have at least a slightly better chance.
I'm in such a bad part of the nation.
I've literally got my fucking shopping list done already.
See, mine, I'm just like, get out of Denver is my first thing. After that, I'm good.
You are right, though. The one thing I didn't consider about this list is like where the fuck I'm going to put all that stuff.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. You gotta steal a car.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, that's kind of our thoughts on it. If there's anything we missed, make sure to leave that down in the comments section so I can add it to the preparedness list. And if you have another strategy, like what would your approach be to surviving a zombie outbreak? Anything you guys want to talk about, let's use the comment section for its intended purpose of commenting, and we will definitely make sure to interact with you guys. And if you have any topics for shit you would like to hear us discuss on upcoming episodes, always open to that. Otherwise, you can make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube. Check out other podcasting services because we are available wherever you get your podcast from. And most importantly, and on behalf of both of us, have an awesome week and be terrible.